are you guys doing today? Nika here with a very special neuro nugget. So I mentioned it yesterday. I normally do not do lives on weekends. It's sacred family time, but family let me escape for a little bit, and there's something that we need to talk about. We are getting very, very close to the trial. I can't believe it's been over 2.5 years, and there are a lot of suspicious people that fit the IDAHO4 crime much more so than Mr. Koberger. Now, going forward, remember, these are my opinions, these are my theories. Please go and watch my very old videos, my old lives that I made on Jack S. We're not going to be covering every detail here, but I did want to go over some. Let's expose Jack S. So this is going to be something where we are kind of going through his odd behavior, everything on why I believe that Jack S is very suspicious. I've never said this before, but he's probably one of my top 3 suspects in the IDAHO4, right? Now, what first stood out to me, and I shared it in the thumbnail, a lot of you guys don't know how to look at thumbnails. I don't know how to explain it to you. It's in the thumbnail. I don't know. It's in the thumbnail. And Jack Rogers Showalter. Yes, his middle name is Rogers Showalter. And we first found that out. I first found that out when I pulled up his arrest records. Now, most people spell Rogers R-O-G-E-R-S. He spells Rogers R-O-D-G-E-R-S, which is not common. It's not the most common way to spell Rogers. And it's very freaking odd that Papa Rogers also spells Rogers the same way. By the way, if you maybe are new to this channel and you don't know who Jack Rogers Showalter is, we are going to be talking about him. His actual real name is John Showalter, and Jack is a very common nickname for John, right? So if you guys are in here, show me some love. Again, I normally don't do this. It's sacred family time, so please leave a comment. I will get to the chat once I cover all the information, and also leave a like, right? It's the weekend. Let's do this. So now, we are not accusing Jack of anything. We are only asking questions. I've had a lot of mentally unstable people, in my opinion, come to the channel lately. They're getting all bent out of shape. They're threatening me. They're threatening my family, saying, how dare you talk about Dylan? You're so insensitive. And I'm like, baby, you can't gaslight me. I have a master's degree in psychology. I'm like, you can't manipulate me. I cannot be manipulated. But doesn't matter. We are here to ask questions. Does Jack Showalter fit the profile? Does he fit the profile? Now, again, for a lot of us, he has always been one of the top 3 very suspicious characters. And what's even more outrageous is that law enforcement failed to investigate any of the fraternities, as we know that they care much more about the image of U of I than actually getting justice for Ethan, Xana, Maddie, Kaylee, and everybody else in the community, because arresting a guy that may have not been involved, it's not justice for anyone, right? Now, I'm drinking lemon balm tea because Theyre, you recommended it. It's amazing. Thank you. I have a feeling that he's going to get called to testify. Now, if I were the defense team, I'd say, sir, Where exactly did you go after the Grub truck? And do you have proof of where you went? Otherwise, how is there going to be a double standard, right? If he can't prove where he was at, even if he drove, which is odd, I think, that he's claiming to have driven to his parents' remote cabin that was 5 hours away in the early morning hours. Do you have proof? Again, double standards, because when Brian Koberger is saying that he was driving, everyone's like, oh my God, show us or you did it. Show us or you did it. But regarding Jack Showalter's, we're just supposed to believe that he was driving, right? And if I were the defense, I'd say, what did you mean when you told Kaylee and Maddie, they're going to get you? They're going to get you. Of course, there's debate. I've had so many people try to argue with me. Maybe you hear something different, but I've listened to the audio several times again. And that's what I personally hear. If you hear something else, you can let me know in the chat. We can agree to disagree. Now, we know that John Rogers, just like Papa Rogers, comes for money, okay? Comes from some very, very deep pockets. And some people have mentioned that he is related to the Attorney General, okay? His parents are very well known. They're high-powered doctors. And he definitely has connections to U of I. Allegedly, these connections are through his parents because we know money leads to a lot of connections. Sorry, I hope my phone doesn't die. And his parents allegedly are very chummy with Mr. Green as well. Mr. Green is the president of U of I. So now let's sort of psychoanalyze Jack Showalter because he seems to not fit in with the rest of his family. Again, these are my opinions. He has had legal issues. We know that he was arrested, okay? And we have not heard any of that from his sibling. His siblings seem to have their life together. They're also highly educated. Some of them are also doctors. And he seems to be a black sheep, the black sheep of the family, basically, right? People said that he is adopted. I have not been able to verify that. Let me know if you have been able to verify that. Now, Jack Rogers Showalter, like Papa Rogers, was arrested for disturbing the peace. And I'm zooming in of the picture that I'm sharing in the thumbnail. If you don't know how to access the thumbnail, I don't know how to tell you how to access it. It's in the thumbnail. And in this picture, he's smiling. He is smiling hard. He's got this sick smirk, in my opinion, in the arrest pic. And we don't know if he has had any previous issues with the law. We have seen him pose with a hunting knife. We have seen him pose with animals that he's unalived for hunting. And in the picture where we see him posing with this hunting knife, it looks very similar to a K-bar, right? Now, people have speculated that Jack Rogers Showalter was the one unaliving the coyotes and dumping them on the sorority, and that's why he got kicked out of his fraternity. So this is just a rumor. We cannot verify. We were not there. But again, we have to give him, like anybody else, like Brian Koberger, the benefit of the doubt. But if this pattern, if this is true, that he's having, you know, all of these issues with the law, and then he's dumping coyotes on, coyotes on sororities, that's not a good sign. Again, this is very antisocial personality traits, meaning psychopathic traits, right? Going out to unalive a coyote and then dumping them onto a sorority to what? Instill fear in the females? A little bit unstable, right? If that rumor is true. Now, after the IDAHO4, allegedly he drove 5 hours away in the early morning hours to go to his parents' remote hunting cabin. And then on social media, it looks like he fled to Africa, or at least he pretended to be there. Now, his sister came forward and said he never was in Africa. He never fled to Africa. But why were they making it seem or come across like he had left to Africa in your social media? Why would somebody do that? Unless you're just maybe trying to keep people away from you. Maybe you're attempting to keep law enforcement from contacting you. And yes, Jack Rogers, like Papa Rogers, Showalter, was Hoodie Guy, last seen with Kaylee and Maddie walking back from the bar. So it's interesting to me that all the people that saw them alive had these issues with weapons. We know that Eric Gower, the private driver, had very weird ass Pinterest with knives, with weapons. It, to me, comes across as an obsession with knives and weapons. And then we know that Jack Decor was an axe throwing expert, and that Jack Rogers, like Papa Rogers Showalter, was a very experienced hunter. In the pictures we have seen him posing with some of his hunting game that he is unalived, it's massive animals. I'm not saying that unaliving animals makes you psychopath. I am saying that he has experience with unaliving things, most definitely. And in the picture, it's a massive animal that he's taken down. It's got to be, what, like at least 500, probably more, probably closer to 1,000 pounds. Now, Jack Rogers, like Papa Rogers Showalter, is a walking red flag that should have been looked into. Okay, this is somebody who has been removed from social circles. There were also some rumors that when he worked at the pizza place, he basically got told to go because he was harassing the women workers there, that he allegedly kept pulling his knife out. And we've heard him warn Kaylee and Maddie on the walk to the Grub truck. And it's questionable to me that he was not detained for more questioning, especially considering he was one of the last people to see the victims. So I would not be surprised to learn if later it comes out that Jack Rogers Showalter is the one that sliced up Buddy the dog. Now, we have assumed different theories. That's all we do here, right? We have some factual information, but because there is a gag order, we have a lot of theories that we entertain for fun, but also because we're open-minded. Now, if we are going to, for the sake of this video, entertain the theory that there could have been multiple assailants in this crime, then Jack Rogers Showalter could have very well played an extremely important role, right? Such as following the girls and then parking out front. We see in some of the footage, there is a white truck. Some people have mentioned to me that that white truck belonged to Jack Rogers Showalter. So was he, or could he have been some sort of lookout? I don't believe that him following Kaylee and Maddie around ended when they ran off, right? We see the Grub truck footage. He's walking with the girls, and then when they arrive at the Grub truck footage, they just abandon him there. That's a little bit strange. It gives me vibes that the girls were not very comfortable to have him there. I think it's highly possible that he had more interactions with Kaylee and Maddie afterwards. Now, remember, this is somebody, Jack Rogers Showalter, it's a person who holds a high status at U of I due to familial relations, right? We know that his parents are loaded and money talks. And when your family is very well known in the community throughout the state, when there are roads named after you within the state, it's very likely that law enforcement is probably not going to bother you very much. So it's very likely that he was just never even interviewed by law enforcement. And if so, then Ann Taylor better rip law enforcement a new one, right? We have Jack Rogers Showalter, who I personally think it was Papa Rogers, or at least somebody trying to point the finger to Jack Rogers. That's not a common name, okay? It's not a common spelling of Rogers. So Jack S., Jack D., and Eric Gower, for me, they all seem way too familiar, way too comfortable with sharp weapons. That's just my opinion. agree to disagree. That being said, I'm not telling anybody that these people are involved in one way or another. We are just speculating. And we also have to remember where these men live, right? This is an area that is known for a lot of hunting, a lot of outdoors, a lot of wildlife. Just because you're a hunter doesn't mean you go out and unalive people. But I personally think that if you have hunting experience, if you have experience with handling weapons, you would probably be better at committing the IDAHO4 than, say, someone like Mr. Kohlberger, who couldn't even fillet a damn fish, okay? He was very bad at it, according to his previous boss. So they're gonna get you. They're gonna get you. That has never sat well with me. And maybe you hear something else, right? Also, from what we've heard, nobody has really mentioned anything good. No one has really spoke well about Jack Rogers Showalter. So it's just interesting to see who's in the chat today. Hit the like. Jennifer says, hit the like, number 1. Spelling. Sid says spelling. I spelled it at the beginning of the video. Hello, Don. Hi, Paris Flush. So that's what I was thinking too. Is it the same as Papa? Yes, Papa Rogers. They spell it exactly the same. Just really weird. I'm not sure why more YouTubers, I'm not sure why more true crime people have never really pointed that out. It's not a common spelling for Rogers. Most people spell it without the D. Jack Showalter spells Rogers, his middle name with a D. Okay? It's in the arrest record. It's in the thumbnail. If you don't know how to access a thumbnail, I don't know what to tell you, babe. I don't know what to tell you. Hello, SC Warner. Hello, Judy. What's up? Hello, Rebeb. Happy Saturday, guys. Thumbnail is the title of your video or topic, right? Yes, right. Sometimes you'll see it for like, I don't know how long YouTube shows it for, probably a few seconds, but you can take a screenshot on your phone or you can pause it, right? If you're watching on a laptop, you can pause it and then zoom in, right? Paris Float says, because you're getting close. I'm not sure. I go through bouts where I get threats. They're like, we're gonna come and we're gonna find your children. So I'm like, do I need to cover my baby's face on my mug here? But also I'm a veteran, and also, you know, I'm a fan of pew pews, so I don't really take a lot of these people seriously. I think a lot of people are just incels, honestly. But that's just me. Do you think Jack S. unalived all 4? No, I never said that. I think that it's possible that he's suspicious and that he could have worked with multiple assailants. I said from the beginning that I personally don't think this was a one-person crime. This was at least 2-3 people. And it is very suspicious, Jennifer. I agree. So was he arrested? Really? Talk about DM all day. Who cares? She's a bad person. She deserves not sympathy. Yeah, I know. Yes, he was actually arrested. Yes. Again, the arrest record and his mugshot is in the thumbnail. Robert says, I think Brian's innocent. Jack S. sent to Africa right after. Crappy alibi. Whether he did or did not go to Africa, it's still a crappy alibi. Whether he drove to his parents' remote cabin right after the crime, as he says he did, allegedly, bad alibi. Again, why are we having these double standards? Because when Brian Kohlberger, or when people have mentioned that Brian Kohlberger could have been driving at night as he usually did, people are like, well, does he have proof? Does he have proof of where he was driving at? Well, what about Jack Showalter, who last saw the girls? What about Eric Gower, who last saw Kaylee and Maddie? Right? And whether we like it or not, this is a failure, like Judy says, of law enforcement. And this is a big problem because whether, like, even if Brian Kohlberger committed this crime, and nobody else was involved? I don't believe that. But even if that were the case and law enforcement failed this deeply, we now know through the legal records that were dropped that the detectives didn't even bother to actually test the bed frames of where the bodies were found. Right? Big failures. They failed to investigate a lot of people. They failed to question a lot of people. That's not good. And if Bryan Kohberger committed this entire crime by himself, the fact that law enforcement failed this severely is a problem, because now you are leaving room for a criminal, or potentially Bryan Kohberger, to get away with murder, literally. This is why we need better police. We need police that are better trained, I should say. I'm not against cops. You know, I was a veteran. I was in the military. My family's all triple letter agencies, not all, but a lot. I just think that we need better training. Train them better so that they're not doing like Moscow PD does, basically. Lynette says, not even failed, lied, exactly. And they've done illegal things as well. I've talked about other cases Moscow PD has been involved in, illegal activity by cops, and they just get a little slap. Jack S has always been from beginning a suspect. Honestly, I've had 3 until recent. Thank you, Lynette. I knew it from day one. I call BS, says. Thank you, Gladiator 1983. I heard what you heard, dear. Thank you. AKW number 3. If whiskey, yayo, and a splash of testosterone was involved, I wouldn't put a heinous crime past any jealous, insecure young man. And on top of that, when we see that footage, guys, of Kaylee and Maddie at the Grub truck with Jack Rogers, like Papa Rogers, spells it the same way, Showalter, they kind of appear to just ditch him. Now, I don't know about you, but if all of the rumors about Jack Showalter being out there are true, being aggressive with females are true, that could really hurt a man's ego, especially if this is a young man who's already potentially the black sheep of his family, because he's the only one that hasn't really been educated. You know, they're all high-powered doctors. They're all financially stable. They're all very powerful, loaded people. And top that off with being potentially adopted. Yeah, throw a dash of insecurity by being ditched by 2 what most people would consider semi-attractive young women, Kaylee and Maddie. That could really set somebody off. But he also just could have been a lookout. He could have been one of the many people that were involved in this crime. If this was maybe 3-4 assailants, maybe he was just there to follow the girls to see that they got to where they needed to be. Money and pride can hide a lot of dirt. Oh, yes. Even if you don't have pride, money alone can hide a lot, right? Knife time with Uncle Jack. I hope y'all are having a great day. Thank you. That specific K-bar knife is a piece of shit too. I doubt it will last through 4 bodies. But we've heard the bodies were gouged, right? They had big holes. So I think something else was used, or a multitude of weapons. Bet Jack S was the guy who came to help you, Kanaloa. And that's interesting because people have said that Jack Rogers, like Papa Rogers Showalter, was very close friends with Dylan. That's not a good thing. It's not a good thing to be close friends with Dylan, especially now that we have heard of the latent footprint, meaning it was probably a bloody footprint that was found by the forensic stains that are used to lift the footprints right outside of Dylan's door that matched the bands. And we have seen Miss Dylan Mortensen, or Mr. Dylan Mortensen, wear a lot of bands. You know, if it's true that Jack Rogers, like Papa Rogers Showalter, is friends with Dylan, that's not necessarily a positive thing. Kenaloa says, for sure, more than one perp. Of course, of course. And Minnie G says, it's strange at Grub Truck, he kept an eye on the girls. He sure did. But what I get, the vibe I get from Maddie and Kaylee is that when they're walking with him, I personally don't get the vibe that they're very comfortable. But I'm just a girl. I don't know. If I were Kaylee and Maddie in that situation, put yourself in the shoes of two young, attractive females walking in the dark. You're not in your five senses because you've been probably binge drinking, maybe using other illicit substances. And you have somebody warning / threatening you, saying, they're going to get you for this. Would that make you feel safe? Let me know if you're a woman. Would that make you feel safe? I don't think so. And if you're feeling unsafe around somebody who is warning or threatening you while you're walking in the dark, is that why they abandoned him at the Grub Truck? Because that would be the best time to abandon him, right? But yes, he does seem to be keeping his eyes out on them. According to Maddie's ex-boyfriend that was supposedly out of town, he wanted Jack to keep tabs on the girls for safety. But if you're being a good friend and you're trying to keep the girls safe, why would you warn them or threaten them saying they're gonna get you? Why would you do that? That to me doesn't sound like something a guy friend would do, right? My guy friends, when I was in college, they would walk us back to the university or to get food, and they would make us comfortable. They wouldn't be warning or threatening us in the dark while two of us are alone with a male. And you're going to be eyeballing me in the back like a weirdo while we're getting food. No. No. Psycho 7 says, also gives me vibes that the girls weren't that nice, really. Why do you get those vibes that the girls were not nice? Because they abandoned him? What else did he say? I mean, the only short clip we have of him saying anything is not a good thing. It literally sounds like you're warning or threatening the girls. What else did he say? You know, I don't know if the girls were nice or not, but I mean, what do you expect two girls to do that are feeling unsafe about having somebody warning or threatening them? Oh, we're supposed to be your best friend? We're supposed to make you feel good? We're supposed to keep your ego intact? We're supposed to keep your ego intact, babe? No. Can you imagine if he said that and that was caught on that camera, in that footage? We can hear him say that. What else did he say? Could he have said something more effed up? More warning, more threatening. We don't know that. Rick Allen says more red flags than a ski slope. And yes, he lived right down the road, which of course he didn't pay for himself, right? His rich parents paid for that. I want to know, like Sid, what was your actual alibi, Mr. Jack Rogers Showalter? Mr. Jack Rogers Showalter, did you ever create an account with the name of Papa Rogers? Were you trying to give us hints or tips or clues? And again, when we go back in time and reanalyze, rehash everything that was said in the 4chan posts, Well, a lot of that was true. A lot of the names of the students were true. A lot of the nicknames of the stories were true. A lot of what was said about David B was true. So, who was close to all of these people, if not Jack Rogers Showalter? And what's very odd, in my opinion, is that Jack Rogers Showalter spelled Rogers just like Papa Rogers. His literal middle name is Rogers with a D, like Papa Rogers, okay? And I know somebody is gonna be like, no, that's a common name, Nika. That's like super common. Come on now, like, be real for a second. Be real. You know, was he one of the 4chan chatters? Was he Papa Rogers? Was he in there trying to pin the blame on Mr. Koberger, maybe? Psycho 7, Jack did walk them to the Grub truck. Then Maddie told him, fuck you or something. The same Maddie that allegedly bullied another female student head. I get the feeling that they weren't that nice. And it's possible. We've heard rumors about them not being nice or not. But again, when I put myself in the shoes of the girls and somebody's warning or threatening me, I don't want them around me. I don't want them around me. Why would I be nice to somebody who's harassing or threatening me? And there's so many rumors about Jack Showalter harassing women at the pizza place where he used to work, that he'd do weird things with the knives, okay? The women that have posted things indirectly, we can't verify if they're true or not, but the women that have come forward and posted things about Jack Showalter have said that he was not a good guy, that he was effing creepy, that he was always harassing them, and rumors also say that he has been kicked out of the club way too many times for also harassing females. So, by the way, I don't know, maybe Maddie and Kaylee were bullies. It's possible. Nobody's perfect. Again, I've talked about how we are obsessed with decorum, meaning that we are obsessed with only saying positive things about people who've passed away, and that's totally idealistic, unrealistic, because nobody's perfect. So it's very possible Maddie and Kaylee could have been bullies. That being said, as a somewhat, I like to think myself, I'm not ugly, right? I'm at least average. I've been told by so many men that I'm mean. Babe, because I told you no? Because I didn't cater to your weak ass ego? Is that why? I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's very possible. Anything is possible. Girls can be mean, but so can men. People in general can be mean. Right? Yes, I remember the photo thing. I get the vibe that they were doing something, that they were bullying Dylan in that picture. Dylan doesn't look like she's happy in those images where she's wearing the blue wig. I've made videos of this in the past. She looks like she's very uncomfortable, looks like she's crying. But, ooh, there's a pissed off little man here. Hey, you little incel. Let's put this user in timeout like a dog. Bye, Ron. Have a good day. Be a good boy, okay, Ron? Some of them are bots, GB Man says, but some of them are not. A lot of them are just beta males. And I know because they're always like the first ones to send a message like to my Instagram or whatever. So either way, guys, I have to go. I've been on here long enough. I have to go back to the family. I get way too passionate in these lives, and it's already been like almost 40 minutes. So thank you guys for joining me in today's very special Saturday live. Let me know, what do you think about Jack Rogers Showalter having the same freaking name, spelling it the same as Papa Rogers, not a common spelling? And again, for Beta Ron, we're going to call him Beta Ron. I'm going to call him Beta Ron. He's going to feel so special because we're talking about him. We're not spreading rumors. We are saying they are theories, we are saying we are speculating, and we are saying that we cannot verify these rumors. So don't get all bent out of shape, babe, okay? All right. If you think that Jack Rogers Showalter was a little bit suspicious, his behavior, his driving to a remote cabin 5 hours away right after the crime took place. If you think he's just a little sus in general, please leave a 1. If you think he's just the perfect boy and you think that none of the rumors of him harassing women are true, of him having weird thing with weapons, if you think he's just like a regular guy who's super sweet and he was just there to take care of the girls, to be so perfect and such a good friend, please leave it 2, okay? Okay? You guys take care. Stay safe out there. William, I see you in the chat. Take care. Stay safe, guys. It's a little wild out there. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your loved ones. And let's go eat some dinner, okay? Take care, guys. Bye-bye.